cominciamo. So, last time we addressed the problem of shared resource protocols, how to use them so as to guarantee real-time requirements. So, we should divide the problem between the correct use of semaphores, mutexes, condition variables, which is something we did in the first classes. Okay, we understood the importance of protecting critical sections with mutexes, how to properly synchronize our activities between them. Now we are addressing another problem, which is, okay, given that a set of concurrent activities will use semaphore, they will need to communicate between each other, they will need to synchronize among each other. Okay? So this need for synchronization, for mutual exclusion, how does that affect the real-time capabilities of our system? Okay? How is using synchronization protocols affecting my response time of the real-time tasks? Okay? So when we assumed that tasks were independent, we did not have any problem about blocking and stuff like that. Okay, tasks were independent, EDF was optimal, rate monotonic was optimal priority assignment. When we integrated the problem of mutual exclusion, then we realized that there may be priority inversions. Okay, one of the bad things that may happen with was something like that. Okay, where we have a task L2, which executes while a high priority task is blocked. Okay, this is the unbounded priority inversion problem. Why it is unbounded? Because the high priority task is waiting for the red resource, which is currently being held by a low priority task. Okay, and this guy blocks, this guy continues, but it does not finish its critical section. It does not unlock the shared resource. So before unlocking, it gets preempted by a middle priority task, which can execute forever. Okay, can be arbitrarily long. Okay, this implies that the high priority task may be arbitrarily blocked due to a lower priority task. So it is just not blocked on the critical section. It is blocked for the whole execution of a middle priority task that does not share any resource with it. Okay? So this is the unbounded priority inversion problem. We saw that one option could be to use the non-preemptive protocol. So we execute critical section in a non-preemptive fashion. Okay, non-preemptive fashion. So this time, this guy is blocked for a smaller amount of time. So with a non-preemptive protocol, it will never be the case that this guy will be blocked forever by a middle priority task. Okay? But we imply blocking even for tasks that do not access any resource. Okay? Non-preemptive protocol means every time one task accesses a shared resource, I artificially increase its priority to the top. Okay? This causes a useless blocking to tasks that are not in need of accessing any shared resource. Okay? This is a summary of the things that we saw last time. Okay? Then, with highest local priority, we try to improve it a little bit, saying it is not needed to raise the priority of a task in a critical section to the top level. It is sufficient to raise it to the priority level of the tasks that access that resource. So it is sufficient to increase it until here to avoid the unbounded priority inversion problem. Okay? So in this highest local priority, it says, as soon as you access a shared resource, increase your dynamic priority to the priority of the tasks with the highest priority among the ones that access the shared resource. Okay? In this case, among the tasks that access the yellow resource, tau 2 is the highest priority one. Okay? So here my priority is raised to here. That means that when a higher priority task arrives, it is able to preempt. Okay? It accesses a different resource here, okay, and it finishes. Okay? So the highest local priority solves this useless blocking problem that we had in the non-preemptive protocol, and also solves the problem that we had of unbounded priority inversion. Okay? But it suffers of another problem, which is depending on which branch I do execute, whether a branch with a critical section or a branch without a critical section, I am blocked nevertheless. Okay, so even if task 1 access a branch, a chunk of code which does not access any shared resource, so this branch, it is still blocked. Okay, it is still blocked because the red critical section, okay, causes tau 2 to increase its priority to what we said, to the highest priority among the tasks that may access the red resource. Tau 1 may access the red resource, so it is blocked just in case. But since it executed the branch without blocking that resource, it turns out that the blocking that we imposed was useless. Okay, it was useless. So this blocking could have been avoided with smarter strategies. And finally, we reached a possible solution also for this problem. With the priority inheritance protocol by Sharaj and Marko in the 90s, we basically increase the priority of a task only if it blocks other tasks. What does this mean, only if it blocks other tasks? In the previous case, we increased, as soon as I locked the resource, I increased right away the priority, despite I wasn't blocking anyone. Let's go back to that example. In this example, okay, I was, sorry, this is not, yes. In this example, as soon as I access this critical section, I raised my priority, okay? Despite I was not blocking no one, okay? I was not blocking anyone, okay? I raised the priority. When this guy arrives, it is postponed forever, okay? With priority inheritance, I increase the priority only if I'm actually blocking someone, okay? If someone tried to access my shared resource and was blocked instead because I was the one holding that resource. So it is blocked only if it actually, the priority is increased only if I'm blocking someone. And to which priority I increase the priority? A task in a critical section inherits the highest priority among tasks that are blocked because of me. So I'm starting to execute, I'm a low priority task, I'm starting to execute. At some point, I request a lock. Okay, lock granted. I now have a lock. My priority does not increase because I was the only one, I was able to access the lock, I'm not blocking anyone, okay? At one point, a high priority task arrives, okay? Am I blocking it? Not yet, okay? So high priority task is allowed to start and execute, okay? If it finishes, then the control is back to me, okay? If instead this guy, when it executes, tries to access the same resource I was holding, then this guy blocks and I'm inheriting his priority, ok? Quando un task ha più alta priorità inizia a eseguire, può preemptarmi, ok? Perché la mia priorità è ancora quella bassa. Quando lui richiederà invece la stessa risorsa che io sto tenendo, lì si blocca e mi concede, mi fa ereditare la sua priorità. A questo punto alzo la mia priorità, ok? Perché c'è un bloccaggio in atto. Non lo faccio preventivamente, lo faccio solo quando si verifica il bloccaggio. So this is the basic concept of the priority inheritance protocol, so PIP. And again, the priority is not the highest priority among all tasks that may potentially access the same resource. It is instead the highest priority among the tasks that I'm currently blocking. Okay? Only among the currently blocked tasks. If there is a high priority task which may access that resource but did not yet ask that resource, then my priority is still below that task. Okay? Let's check an example. And here it is. As I said, I start, this is my shared resource, locked, okay? My priority is still down. I'm not blocking anyone. So that if a high priority task arrives, its priority is higher than me, it is able to preempt, okay? At some point, at this point, tau 1 will request the red resource. Okay, you see the next instruction is a lock on that resource, okay? Is a semaphore wait on that semaphore, for instance, okay? So since I'm not allowed to enter because the semaphore is still held by tau 3, I'm blocked. What does blocking cause in this sense? The inheritance of the priority, okay? So now, and only now, when I'm blocked, I concede my priority to the low priority one, okay? And now it can execute at this priority, so that if a middle priority task arrives, it will not preempt me, okay? If I had allowed this task to preempt me, what would that cause? Unbounded priority inversion, which is something I don't want, okay? So since my priority is above this guy, okay, this guy is blocked, which is okay. I'm releasing the section, okay, and this guy can continue, this guy can continue, and so on, the other ones, okay? Priority inheritance protocol. You can find it even in Linux, okay? You always wondered what's that about. I mean, for those of you who may have had the chance of noticing that Linux provides such support, so this is it, okay? Priority inheritance. It is important not when tasks are independent, but when they share resource, when they may access concurrently shared resources, okay? So that if a task is blocked, his priority is considered back to the task that is blocking it, okay? Priority inheritance problem. And again, this is called direct blocking, because the blocking is exactly due because I want a resource, but someone else has it, okay? Direct blocking. While this is push-through blocking until here, okay? Because here is normal preemption, is normal interference, okay? One thing is interference, one thing is blocking. What is interference? Interference is when I'm ready, I have something to execute here, but I'm not executing because of a higher priority task. This is interference. Blocking is when I have something to execute, but I'm not executing because of some lower priority task. Okay? Interference is a normal thing. Blocking is something that I try to avoid because it inverts priorities. Okay? So this is push-through blocking because this guy is blocked despite it does not access any red resource. Okay? This is kind of a ceiling blocking. So I'm blocked here because a low priority task increased its priority artificially. Okay? So this is push-through blocking. Okay? Okay. How many times can a task be blocked? How many times can a task be blocked? So, a task, of course, can be blocked when accessing a semaphore. Okay? When it accesses a semaphore, if it is not able to access that semaphore, then it's a direct blocking, okay? So trivially, a task is blocked whenever it shares some resource in a blocking semantic with a low priority task, okay? This is the typical direct blocking, okay? But also, we should take into account that a blocking factor may arise even if I don't access any resource, or I access different resources, due to push-through blocking. So, beside direct blocking, I can also be blocked whenever a high priority task share a resource with a low priority task. So I'm here, I can either be blocked because one of the resources I would like to lock is shared with a low priority task, this is direct blocking, but also by all those resources accessed by higher priority tasks and by low priority tasks. Lo ripeto in italiano, io posso essere bloccato o bloccaggio diretto da una delle risorse che accedo direttamente o bloccaggio indiretto, push through, no? Vuol dire quando una delle risorse accedute dai task a più alta priorità di me è condivisa con qualche task a più bassa priorità di me, anche se io non accedo a nessuna di queste risorse, ok? Push through blocking, ok? It is important to account for both of these blocking components when we do our schedulability analysis, okay? It is important to take into account all these components. And it is simple to see that the task Y, can potentially be blocked only once, at most once, for each semaphore. Okay? So if I have 3 semaphores in my system that are either accessed by me or by high and low priority tasks, then I will be blocked at most 3 times. Okay? Again, I cannot be blocked more than once on these shared resources. Okay? When I'm directly blocked, I'm blocked just once. So assume I'm task tau 3. Okay? I'm task tau 3. I accessed semaphore A, okay? And I'm blocked. Okay? Why am I blocked? Because a low priority task is holding the semaphore A, right? I'm not blocked because a higher priority task holds it. Okay? I'm blocked because a low priority task holds it. Okay? When this task will release the resource, my blocking is over. Whenever I will try to reaccess again that resource, I will never be blocked again. Why is that? Because when am I blocked, right? I said, I start executing, okay? I do a wait on semaphore A, okay? No, blocked, okay? Because a low priority one here did a wait on semaphore A, started executing, and it got preempted here by me, so that when I did the wait, I'm blocked, okay? So, this is blocking time. So when this guy will release, so this is like an unlock or signal, okay? Signal 748, okay? At this point, this guy will block the resource, okay? So this is blocking time, okay? This is blocking time, blocking time. I'm saying, I release the resource, and then here I do another wait on semaphore A. Can I potentially block also here? My answer is no. Why? Because you're blocked only if a low priority task holds that resource. Since we are in a single processor system, the low priority task, it's already over, okay? Or it did not have the chance of executing again after I retook the lock here, okay? Re2 can release, execute, and re-ask again, and then I can release it, and re-ask it, and release it multiple times. But you will not give the chance of any low priority task to perform again the semaphore wait. So this is the root reason why you will be blocked only once for each of those semaphore that we saw in the slides. Ok? In italiano, noi ci possiamo bloccare una volta su ogni semaforo tra quelli che abbiamo identificato qua, o quelli di bloccaggio diretto o quelli di bloccaggio indiretto, no? Condivisi da task ad alta e bassa priorità. Perché non più di una per semaforo? Perché io posso essere bloccato solo se quando io ho richiesto la mia risorsa qualche task a bassa priorità avesse già chiesto quel semaforo, no? Fosse già, no, il proprietario del log su quel semaforo. Ma una volta che io ho pagato questo B una volta e che quello a bassa priorità ha fatto la signal, cioè ha rilasciato il semaforo, nessun task a bassa priorità avrà la possibilità di rifare il block, perché sono io in esecuzione, o eseguo io o eseguono task a più alta priorità, no? Che possono fare un po' quello che vogliono, ma non va più in esecuzione un task a bassa priorità per rubarmi il lock un'altra volta. Ok? This is the root reason why we can block at most one on each of those semaphores. Ok?
Ma quindi quello sotto
sì,
rimane alla sua priorità di prima?
Quindi
il task sotto.
questo qua, esatto, qui alza la priorità fin qua e qui la riabbassa. Ok?
Quindi non ne rimane dopo aver...
No, esatto. Pay attention to the question of your colleague. He said the priority of the low priority task, if we use a priority inheritance, here is low, and here the blocking is in place, so the priority increases, and when it is released, the priority decreases again, okay? It is not held at that high level, okay? This is the reason why the low priority task will not execute again.
E se io due mi posso bloccare 2 volte al massimo?
Due diversi. Due diversi, esatto. Se ho 2 semafori diversi, sì, perché? Perché magari questo eseguito, ma prima ha eseguito un altro che ha fatto la wait sul semaforo B, okay? Poi è stato preemptato da quello, quindi io in questo momento posso essere bloccato prima da uno, lo rilascio qui dall'altro, posso essere bloccato 2 volte su 2 semafori diversi.
Okay? Se avessi però un task con più alta priorità,
sì,
e quello io non lo considero perché comunque va bene che mi blocchi.
Esatto, se non è bloccaggio, quello è interferenza normale.
Se avevo già un task sotto, ah no, perché comunque è un altro semaforo e vale il caso di prima.
È un push through blocking in quel caso lì, no? Vuol dire che se un task a priorità me lo prendi da uno più basso è sempre un push through blocking. Ok? So just once for each semaphore, okay? That satisfies one of these conditions, okay? Question, would that be the same in a multi-core setting?
No.
No, why not?
Because we can have a task that go in the CPU and run with the same semaphore that have released.
Exactly. So, like this case here, okay, I started again with my lock, but in another, so I release in the lock, and when I'm here, there is another core which may request the very same lock. Okay, this is important actually. This can be a question for you guys. Okay, so I'm saying this is critical section and this is released. This is my critical section and this is released. Okay, this is normal execution. Okay, this is normal execution. And I told you when I will do again a wait for another critical section. Okay, I will never need to block here. Okay, I will never need to block here in a single processor setting. In a dual core system, it may perfectly be the case that around here at processor 2, a guy does wait semaphore A. Okay? And then that would cause here, I'm blocked again. I can be blocked until this other core releases that block. Okay? So multi-core setting, is there a question?
Non ho capito.
Ok, in italiano. Allora, vi ho detto prima, qual è la ragione per cui noi non possiamo bloccarci più di una volta, no? Perché io adesso qua rilascio il lock, se anche riaccedessi a un'altra sezione critica ma della stessa risorsa condivisa, lo stesso semaforo, vi ho detto io non sperimenterei il bloccaggio perché sono sicuro che i task a bassa priorità non si sono intruffolati qua dentro, ok? Perché sto eseguendo io. sto eseguendo io se sono su un single core. Se ho un dual core, nell'altro core ci può andare chiunque, no? L'altro core può benissimo darsi che mentre io eseguo questa parte non critica, uno sull'altro core faccia la wait sul semaforo A, ok? Prenda il semaforo, quando io vado avanti e tocca a me fare la wait sul semaforo A, ecco che mi blocco di nuovo, ok?
Quindi il teorema non va.
Il teorema va solo su single core setting, ok? In multi-core setting, where we may have multiple cores and tasks sharing semaphores across cores, okay? So a semaphore A can be potentially accessed to a task that executes on core 0 and another that executes on core 1. You can experience multiple blocking, okay? I'm not putting any theory on multicore here, okay? But this is a relevant problem when you try to execute real-time system on multicores, okay? You have repeated blockings, okay, that you need to take into account. Okay, so let's now try to bound these blocking times. I told you I can block at most once for each of those semaphores, okay? Either directly blocking me or blocking me with push through, okay? So let M like Milan, be the number of semaphores on which tau I can be blocked. So these are the semaphores that we identified in the previous slides, okay? I can block at most M, okay? M of these either direct or push through blocking semaphore. But another bound is also given by the number of lower priority tasks. Another bound, I'm telling you, is also given by the number of lower priority tasks. So I cannot be blocked more than the number of lower priority tasks that I have. Okay? So if I'm task 3 and there is only 4 and 5 with lower priority, then I can be blocked at most twice. Okay? If I have 5 semaphores and 2 lower priority tasks, I can take essentially the minimum of those 2 values. Okay? It is sufficient to take the minimum of those 2 values. Let's see an example here, okay, just to clarify that, why this holds. So we have 3 tasks, okay? A high priority ones which accesses all 4 resources, A, B, C, and D. A middle priority ones which accesses A and C, and a low priority one which accesses B and D, okay? So let's start from the lowest priority one. I can be blocked only if I have some semaphore shared with some lower priority task. I don't have any low priority task, so tau 3 cannot be blocked, okay? Tau 3 can never be blocked, okay? Tau 2, how many times can tau 2 be blocked? Tau 2 can be blocked either by tau 3, okay, on what? It does not share any resource with tau 2, okay? A and C are not shared with tau 3, but there is a push-through blocking, okay? Because B and D are accessed by tau 1, okay? So there is a push-through blocking potential to block tau 2. But there is only one lower priority task here, okay? So tau 2 cannot be blocked twice by B and D, both not, by either B or D, okay? It is not possible that this guy be blocked twice, okay? It is not possible that this guy be blocked twice, okay? Why? Because when tau 1 started executing, it can continue executing, okay? If you think about possible settings, it will never be the case, okay? So when tau 1 is eventually able to start executing, okay, it means that the priority inherited has been lowered and tau 1 will execute right away, okay? So assume that tau 1 is blocked on B, it will not block also on D. if tau 1 is blocked on B, so if tau 1 is trying to access here B, but B is held by tau 3, after tau 3 is over, after the B region of tau 3 is over, tau 1 is able to execute, and it will execute until the end. So this guy will never be able to start another critical section. Okay? This is the root cause, the basic reason why I can only be blocked once by this task. If I had another low priority task that accesses D, then yes, I could be blocked twice. Once on B or D, once on B and once on D. Okay? So this is essentially the reason. In italiano, o mi blocco, come ho detto, al minimo del numero dei semafori o dei task a bassa priorità. Perché non mi posso bloccare più del numero di task a bassa priorità? Guardiamo questo caso che è semplice. Tau 2 si può bloccare in push through o da B o da D, perché tau 1 sta aspettando di entrare o qua o qua. Supponiamo che stia aspettando di entrare qua in B, ok? Perché questo B è stato preso da tau 3 prima, ok? Quando tau 3 finisce questa regione qua critica, ecco che tau 1 può iniziare a eseguire e può continuare fino alla fine, ok? Tau 3 non avrà più la possibilità di entrare in un'altra sezione critica, ok? Se ci fosse invece un altro task a bassa priorità che accede a D, ecco che sì, potrebbe darsi che tau 1 si blocca prima su B e poi su D. In questo caso avremo due task a più bassa priorità che mi concederebbero il bloccaggio. Ok, let's now see a potential schedule with priority inheritance. What happens here? 4 tasks, 2 resources, okay? A red resource and a yellow resource, okay? This flag means I'm blocked on the red resource, I'm blocked on the yellow resource, okay? Okay, tau 4 starts, blocks the red resource, okay? The ceiling is down, the ceiling is here, so the priority inherited is here. A preemption is possible because I'm not blocking anyone here, okay? So I still have my nominal priority, okay? So preemption starts in executing, no blocking, preemption, executing, request of the red resource, blocking. Blocking means priority inheritance. To whom? To the last executing? No, to the one that is blocking me. The priority is given not to this guy here, but to the guy that is actually blocking me. Okay? Note that after this is preempted, it is not him executing, it's the lower priority task executing, because at this point, this guy inherits the priority. Okay? And then it continues executing. Okay? When it finishes, the priority is lowered again, so a preemption is possible here. Continue, 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 okay, preemption, continue, continue. I'm trying to access the yellow resource here. I'm blocked because this guy still holds that resource, okay? Priority inheritance, to whom? To this one? No. To the guy that is blocking me, okay? Priority inheritance. His priority is here until the critical section is released, okay, the semaphore is released. Then this guy can continue, continue, continue. Okay? This can be a question for the intermediate written exam. Okay? Reconstruct, rebuild, what would be the schedule with priority inheritance, okay, of this task set with 4 tasks. Ok? Sì.
Dopo il blocco.
Quale questo?
Sì. La parte di elaborazione che faccio sotto
Questa?
dà dei risultati che sono condivisi anche da quello sopra.
Sì, ad esempio, questa può essere, o possono essere, devono comunicare, no? Su un buffer,
Cioè, come se per tau lo avessi sopra.
Come?
È come per tau 2 lo vede come se lo stesse eseguendo lui, quell'elaborazione di sopra.
Sì, è come se lui vedesse, dopo questo può essere anche qualsiasi cosa, può essere anche risultati che non c'entrano uno con l'altro, no? Magari che volevano accendere una porta di rete, che cavolo ne so, no? Di cui devono scrivere uno alla volta, no? Finché questo non ha finito, qui è iniziato a mandare qualcosa all'utente, non ha finito il processo di stampa, non è che posso fare stampare questo, deve prima finire questo e dopo stampa l'altro. Questo ovviamente è il bloccaggio, no? Causato da questo qua. Può essere benissimo della comunicazione, no? però non è detto che sia della comunicazione, ok? Sono i semafori, come abbiamo visto, tutti gli usi possibili dei semafori. Tutte le volte che io introduco un punto su un semaforo, una condition variable, io mi posso bloccare, ok? Anche senza direttamente farlo, anche se faccio una malloc, no? Abbiamo visto, no? È bloccante. Tutte le volte che uso una istruzione bloccante possono succedere cose di questo tipo. Okay? Other questions? Here you see the priority, which is inherited. Okay? And here you can see the blocking, push through, direct, push through, direct. Okay? Okay. Well, it was nice to use priority inheritance because it bounds the priority inversion, okay, to at most n or m, where n is the number of low priority tasks, m is the number of semaphores that make us blocking, okay? It is bounded, the priority inversion, by the minimum between n and m, which is a nice property to use, okay? We can factor in our schedulability analysis the component due to blocking, okay? We can rephrase our response time analysis introducing the blocking itself. How can we compute blocking? It's easy, right? The minimum between n and m, okay? So we take the largest n or m critical sections on the resources that can cause blocking on me, and then I just inflate the response time accordingly, okay? It is not difficult. And it is transparent to the programmer. The programmer, when you write your application, you don't need to worry, okay? You don't need to worry. You just specify, I'm using priority inversion. And then the operating system will do the business for you, okay? It will be the operating system with locking support that will update priorities accordingly, okay? Programmer does not need to care about these kind of mechanisms. You just need to know that you should use a priority inheritance protocol if you want, okay? In the operating system, typically, when you use locks, you specify what kind of locks you want to use. And the B threads, when you use semaphores, there are attributes which we are used to initialize without caring too much, but these attributes also can specify the kind of shared resource protocols you would like to use, whether priority inheritance, non-preemptive, arbitrary, okay, or the next ones that we are going to see together, okay? So, nice feature, transparent to the programmer, priority inversion bounded. What is the problem? Well, we may block on multiple resources, okay? Still, we bounded it to n and m, but still I can be blocked n times. If I have 10 tasks of lower priority, I can be blocked 10 times, which can be a lot, especially if a low priority tasks have large critical sections, okay? So this is something that may harm. And also, it is prone to deadlocks. If the program is not properly written, like in the case that we saw, for instance, access semaphore A and B, while another task access semaphore B and A, okay? Of course, you can blame the programmer, but priority inheritance would not be sufficient to avoid the deadlock in this case. There are other protocols that allow you to avoid deadlocks also for badly written programs, okay? So we said that a wait on semaphore A and a wait on semaphore B on one thread, while you have another thread which does the opposite, a wait on semaphore B and a wait on semaphore A, this is a potential deadlock, right? Because it may very well be the case that both threads are here and all of them, each of them is waiting the next one to release the resource, okay? This is a deadlock, okay? Well, priority inheritance is not sufficient to avoid deadlock situations, okay? There are other protocols that may help me avoiding deadlocks. The other thing priority inheritance does not help is repeated blocking, okay? Either n times or m times, okay? Here is a case. You may have a high priority task which need to access multiple different resources, okay? Red resource, yellow resource, pink resource, and low priority tasks which just access one of these resources, okay? This is a perfectly feasible scenario, okay? So that tau 4 locks a resource, gets preempted, locks a resource, gets preempted, locks a resource, gets preempted. When this guy started, okay, when this guy starts, can be blocked here, here, and here again, you see? So we said that it can be blocked by the minimum of n and m. N here is 3, 1, 2, 3, and m is 3, 1, 2, 3, okay? So it can be blocked, it can block 3 times, okay? Blocking 3 times sometimes can be too bad for a very high priority task, okay? There are other shared resource protocols which can allow me to block only once, okay? Only once. We're going to see that. Yes?
No, nel deadlock, in quel caso che ho fatto l'esempio, come fa a venirci il deadlock? Se io aspetto il semaforo A, l'altro aspetta il semaforo B, ci sono 2 task separati, o uno aspetta... Cioè,
l'abbiamo visto nelle slide, no? Sostanzialmente questo parte da 1 e prende A.
Ok.
Ok? Adesso questo vedi a certa priorità, lo prenda e prende B. Ok? La prossima cosa che fa è A, non ce l'ha, si blocca, quindi va questo, continua, vuole B, si blocca. Tutti e 2 sono bloccati.
Quello non ha finito prima, cioè nel caso il task 2 dopo faccia la wait su A.
Qui, esatto,
Sì,
qua si
però ho
blocca.
già finito quello che stavo eseguendo su B, perché
No, se questo è già finito non c'è deadlock, no? Se questo è già finito non c'è deadlock. Se questo c'è una wait SA, wait SB, signal SB, signal SA.
no.
Ok? Questa non è una critical section condivisa, la critical section è spannata su tutto, ok? Quindi, cioè, può benissimo, facciamo che inizia da 2 che ha priorità più bassa, no? Fa la lock di SB, ok? Prima di fare la lock di SA viene preemptato, ok? Facciamolo, scriviamo, dai, questo può aiutare. What may happen here? So we have tau 1 and tau 2, okay? Tau 1 accesses first semaphore A and then semaphore B, while tau 2 accesses semaphore B and then semaphore A, okay? So start, tau 2 arrives, start executing, and here it does a wait on semaphore B, okay? It is granted, okay? Granted. So here I'm executing on B. Now here I try the wait on semaphore A, okay? I here try the wait on semaphore A, but before trying it, I'm preempted because a task, a high priority task arrives, okay? High priority task arrives, we start executing, here it does the wait on semaphore A, okay? So this guy didn't do it, okay? Didn't have time to do it, so this guy locks it, okay? A. And here I'm trying a wait on semaphore B, okay? No, I cannot. I'm blocked because B is still held by this one, okay? B is still held by this one. This guy continues on B, and here he tries, the lock on semaphore A, okay? Wait on semaphore A. Can I? No, because A is locked there, okay? So I'm blocked. Here is a dead node, okay? Everyone is waiting for the other one resources. Note that this is compatible with priority inheritance because here priority is low, here priority increased, here the priority is inherited, but this does not help avoiding the deadlock. It's already too late to avoid the deadlock, okay? I inherited the priority, but that was not sufficient to avoid the deadlock, okay? And also here, for the repeated blocking problem, okay, here I'm letting this guy inherit the priority, like here I'm letting this guy inherit my priority, like here I'm letting it inherit my priority, but I will be blocked multiple times, okay? I will be blocked multiple times. Well, there is another protocol also supported in Linux called priority sealing protocol, which is an enhancement of priority inheritance that introduces the concept of sealing. So here, this kind of protocol does a preventive check before taking a lock whether I will be blocking someone. Okay, there is a preventive check before taking a lock that I will not introduce dangerous blockings to other guys. Let's study it together. So we can view it as a priority inheritance plus some access test. Okay, so we still have the priority inheritance in place, only I will not allow anyone to lock anything when it can. That is the notion of sealing. So a task can enter a critical section, so can hold the lock, can take a lock, only if the lock is free and there is no risk of chain blocking. Again, with priority inheritance, if the lock was free, the task was allowed to enter it. Okay? With priority sealing, the fact that the lock is free is not sufficient to allow you to lock it. Okay? In case this may cause repeated blocking to high priority tasks. So, to prevent the chain blocking effect, okay, we introduce that the task may stop at the entrance of a free critical section. What does that mean? Before, at the beginning of my critical section, if the semaphore was free, I take it and I continue, okay? Here, if the semaphore is free, I may still block, okay? I may still stop. Because if I had taken that lock, I would have caused blocking to high priority tasks. Okay? Let's see better. So this is a third kind of blocking called sealing blocking. Okay? It is not direct blocking, it is not push-through blocking, it is sealing blocking. So we introduced the notion of sealing, okay? Sealing è soffitto per intenderci, ok? Come se io avessi una priorità associata a una risorsa che mi dice qual è il task a più alta priorità che può accedere a quella particolare risorsa. So I had the sealing, the notion of sealing associated to each semaphore. What is the sealing of a semaphore? So each semaphore has one sealing, okay? So if multiple tasks may access that semaphore, the sealing for that semaphore is the maximum priority among tasks that use that semaphore. Okay? So if I have task tau 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, tau 1 being the highest priority one, and I'm interested in computing the sealing of semaphore A, and I know that only task 2, 4, 6 are the ones that access semaphore A, then the sealing of semaphore A is 2. Okay? Again, if I have 6 tasks, for instance, tau 1, tau 2, tau 3, tau 4, tau 5, tau 6, okay? And all of them access different resources, but tau 2 may access as A, tau 4 may access as A, tau 5, 6 may access as A. Then the sealing of semaphore A is given by the highest priority among the tasks that access it. So the sealing is here, okay? Because the highest priority task that may access that semaphore is tau 2, okay? It is a static property, okay? I know since the beginning which tasks may access which semaphore, okay? So this is not for dynamic code. This is for code that I know since the beginning which semaphore it may require, okay? Then, so having defined the ceiling, we implement this rule. A task tau I can enter a critical section only if the priority of that task, okay, is greater than the ceiling of the currently locked semaphores. Let me repeat. It is not like priority inheritance, where a task can enter a critical section only if it is free. Okay, only if the semaphore was free, otherwise I block. No, here the resource shall be free, but also my priority shall be greater than the ceiling of the currently locked semaphores. Okay? So this is an additional condition that I require the system to satisfy to let the task lock a given semaphore. Okay? This decreases further the possibility of locking, but it has a very, very nice effect of A, avoiding deadlocks, B, avoiding repeated blockings. Okay? We are going to see that together. Summarizing, I have multiple tasks. Multiple tasks access different resources. Let's see, this guy accesses B, this accesses SA and B, this accesses B, and that's it. So the ceiling of SA is here, the ceiling of SD is here. Okay? The highest priority among the tasks that may access that resource. Okay? Well, then a task can enter a critical section only if its priority, so tau 5, when it's executing, tau 5, and start executing, it can enter a critical section only if its priority is greater than the ceiling of the currently locked semaphore. If no semaphore is locked, tau 5 can lock this semaphore. Okay? If SA is locked, maybe by tau 6, okay? If SA is locked by tau 6, then here tau 5 cannot lock its semaphore B. Despite B is free, okay? Despite B is free, it will not be able to lock its semaphore. Okay? Ceiling blocking. Ceiling blocking.
Ma perché conviene fare questa cosa? Cioè guardare tutti i semafori che sono bloccati?
Well, the reason is that we would like to avoid repeated blocking. So we would like to avoid the configuration when, you remember, tau 1 starts when all the resources have been locked by lower priority tasks. Okay? So, if we take back that example, okay, when tau 4 starts, okay, it locks tau 4, then its ceiling, the ceiling of tau 4 is to tau 1, okay? So tau 2 and 3 are not able to lock their respective resources. So the tau 1 can start and only one blocking will be experienced, not multiple ones.
Tau 3, tau 2 avevano il ceiling di quel semaforo era quello di A,
Esatto.
quindi sì,
Esatto.
quello blu.
And what about the deadlock condition? Take back the deadlock, I don't know if I raised it. Yes, I did. But if you take back the deadlock condition that we saw before, SA is locked, okay? Then you are preempted, but you are not preempted, because when you lock SA, your ceiling goes to top priority, so tau 1 will not start executing. So you lock SA, you are not preempted, this guy is blocked, ceiling blocked, you lock SB, you finish, and the other guy can start. Okay, no deadlock. The code was badly written, but using priority ceiling, you avoid the deadlock. Okay? Okay, so you have only one blocking, so not the minimum of n and m, no, one. Basically, the largest critical section of lower priority tasks shared with the U or higher priority tasks. Let me repeat. While with priority ceiling, we needed to select the minimum between n and m, right? So we needed to take the n or M largest critical sections among the lower priority tasks. This is with PIP, okay? With priority ceiling protocol, basically you just take the largest critical section among lower priority tasks shared with you or higher priority tasks. There is just one blocking condition. Here are multiple, here is just one. Okay? One. Okay? And deadlocks are prevented. Okay? At least those deadlocks due to the mechanism that we talked about before. Okay? Problem, it is not transparent to the programmer. Why is that? Because to know where to put your ceilings, how to define your ceilings, how can the OS, how can the operating system know where is the ceiling of a resource? It needs to know whether your code will need to access that semaphore or not. So you, programmer, need to declare if you will be accessing that semaphore or not. Ok? In italiano. Con priority inheritance non avevamo bisogno di nessun supporto dal programmatore, no? Funzionava tutto meraviglia. Con priority ceiling, noi dobbiamo capire dove mettere i ceiling. Vi ho detto che i ceiling sono definiti secondo la priorità più alta tra i task che possono accedere a quella determinata risorsa. Come fa il sistema operativo se tu accederai o meno a una risorsa? O glielo dici te, se no lui non ha modo di saperlo, no? Quindi occorre che il programmatore dica, okay, quali semafori avrà intenzione di accedere a quel particolare task. Se non dico niente, non so come mettere i miei ceiling. Ok? So it requires some programmer involvement, at least to specify where to put the ceilings. Okay? At least to declare where and if the task will or not access the given shared semaphore. Okay? Questions? Ok.
Il seeding blocking non viene visto però dai task. Cioè alla fine, sì o no?
Una piccola domanda.
Il seeding blocking, come l'altro, il direct blocking, il pass-through, viene visto dai task?
Cosa vuol dire visto?
Cioè i task vengono... ho capito adesso la soluzione. Se c'è un task più alto, sì, non può entrare per un seeding blocking, quello è il seeding blocking.
Quello è il seeding blocking, esatto. Ed è l'unico blocking che tu sperimenterai. Sì. O è ceiling, o è direct, o è push through, ma è uno solo. Ok? Sì. Ok, altre domande? Other questions? Okay. So this was the typical deadlock that I showed you before without priority ceiling. So it's essentially the same example as sketched before. A thread 1 locks A, and before releasing A, it locks B. And thread 2, which before locks B, and before releasing B, it tries to lock A. If the low priority task arrives, it locks B, if it gets preempted, that one locks A, then it is blocked while trying to acquire B, and then this goes back again to this one. When it tries to arrive and block A, it fails, so you have the deadlock here. What happens if you use priority ceiling? Priority ceiling, same as before, here it arrives, this guy is allowed to start and to preempt because my execution priority is still low, okay? Then when I'm blocked, when this guy tries to lock this resource, when tau1 tries to lock the resource, it is ceiling blocked. It is ceiling blocked, okay? Since it is ceiling blocked, priority inheritance, this guy inherits tau1 priority, and this guy can continue, lock A, release B, and then this guy will be able to preempt. Let me repeat. Tau2 arrives, executing some random code, locking B. Can I lock B? Yes. B is free, okay? My priority is here, no one else with high priority executes. Yes, I can lock B. Okay? Then I continue executing. My priority is still this one. Okay? Then tau 1, when it arrives, my priority is still down. Okay? My priority is still down. It can preempt, right? It can preempt, right? So this guy is preempted by tau 1, executes random code. At this point, tau 1 tries to access A. Okay? Can tau 1 access A here? So is A free? Yes. Has tau 1 a priority higher than all ceilings of semaphore which are currently locked? No. Why? Because tau 1 priority is the same priority as the ceiling of this locked resource. Okay? The pink resource, the B resource, has a ceiling here. Okay? So this guy cannot enter a critical section because the ceiling is the same of his priority. So in order to lock, you need to satisfy, the condition I got lost, sorry. Here, okay, I have to satisfy this condition here, okay? Priority should be strictly higher than the ceiling of the currently locked semaphores, okay? Which are the currently locked semaphores, okay? The currently locked semaphore here is the B semaphore, okay? The ceiling of B is P1, so it cannot enter its critical section, okay? This guy cannot enter its critical section. Priority inheritance is still in place. So if I'm blocking someone, I let him inheriting my priority. This is not direct blocking. This is not push-through blocking. This is ceiling blocking. Still, tau 2 will inherit the priority of tau 1. So here, from now on, I'm executing a priority P1. Locking A, unlocking A, unlocking B. Now I'm not blocking anyone else. My priority is decreased again. Okay? And this guy is able to start and execute whatever it needs. Okay? Deadlock avoided. Okay? Okay. Just a quick mention. You may wonder, didn't you tell me that this guy can be blocked at most for one critical section, while here it gets blocked for kind of two critical sections? Well, we consider a critical section the outermost critical section. Ok? Dico in italiano. Ma professore mi ha appena detto che può essere bloccato solo su una sezione critica, poi invece vedo chiaramente che viene bloccato su due, no? Quella di A e quella di B. Ebbene no, perché noi consideriamo sezione critica quella più esterna di tutte, ok? Se sono innestate è solo una sezione critica, ok? Quindi io intendo una sezione critica, dopo ce ne fosse un'altra qua, un'altra e via dicendo, ok? Quindi questo può essere comunque con priority ceiling bloccato al più su una sezione critica comunque, dove per sezione critica intendiamo la outermost critical section, ok? Ok, so now that we computed for these different algorithms, what are the worst case conditions for blocking? We are now interested in plugging in our schedulability tests, the blocking terms. Okay, so we select the scheduling algorithm, EDF, rate monotonic, you name it, and we also select a shared resource protocol, either no one, unbounded blocking, or priority inheritance, or priority ceiling, you name it. For that protocol and that scheduling algorithm, we compute the maximum blocking times, and we refine our schedulability test, either with fixed priority response time analysis, or with EDF, the mount-bound function, okay? And we refine our schedulability test, okay? So let's first check what happens with rate monotonic, okay? So we need to remember the utilization-based test by Lezione, okay, with the least upper bound on the utilization. Okay, if you remember, we had that with rate monotonic, as long as the utilization was smaller than this simple function of the number of tasks, then our schedulability was guaranteed. But that was for independent tasks. Okay, what if we have shared resources as well? Well, there is an additional term here. There is an additional term here, well, here, okay, which is the blocking time. Okay, so here is from k that goes from 1 to I minus 1, the utilization, plus my utilization, okay, plus this b term over my period. This b term stands for the blocking due to lower priority tasks. So, if you remember, the utilization-based test for independent tasks was performed just once for the whole task system. Okay? So if I had n tasks, I just summed all the utilization of all tasks and compute it and check it against the least upper bound that I computed as a function of n, right? When you have blocking, you need to repeat the test for each single task. Okay? It is not sufficient to perform it only once for the whole task system, but you need to repeat the utilization-based test for all individual tasks in order to factor in the potential blocking that they may experience. Quando i task erano indipendenti, il test si faceva una volta per tutte, no? Sommavo l'utilizzazione di tutti e la confrontavo con lista per bound utilization, no? Che è quella formula lì a destra che vedete. Quando invece c'ho i bloccaggi, devo ripetere il test per ognuno dei singoli task, perché devo metterci dentro il termine di bloccaggio. How does the blocking term affect the schedulability? Well, it affects the schedulability based on the ratio between the blocking time and the period of the considered task. Okay? If I have a task with a very short period, which may experience a very large blocking, then this contribution may be too high. Okay? È ovvio che se un task ha un periodo piccolo e posso offrire un bloccaggio grande, è molto facile che questo termine di bloccaggio sia significativo e questa ineguaglianza non è soddisfatta. Okay? Vuol dire che quel task lì può essere bloccato troppo e quindi non ce la farò a garantirne le deadline. Okay? So in general, this test takes into account the preemption by high priority task, your task execution, and the blocking due to lower priority tasks. Okay? With EDF, the utilization-based test is similar. You remember when tasks were independent with EDF, then it was sufficient to sum the utilization of all tasks and see whether it is smaller or greater than 1. When I have blocking, this test is no more valid. Do not use it, okay? It's no more valid because I may have tasks sharing resources that are not schedulable despite the utilization is smaller than 1, okay? So I need to integrate here as well the blocking term, okay? The blocking term. How can I integrate it? This is a possibility. This is a sufficient test, like the previous test for rate monotonic. This is a sufficient test for EDF. Basically, instead of the least upper bound, I have 1 here, and I have the very same factor of before, okay? And a sum that goes from 1 to I minus 1, okay? Where this is extended over all tasks ordered according to deadline, to relative deadlines. So I sorted, so tau 1 is the task with smallest relative deadline, tau n is the task with the largest relative deadline. I need to repeat the test for each single task, okay, factoring in the blocking it may experience in my formula. Okay? Okay, so this was, we may see in later classes more refined test than this one. Okay? But for now, let's try to compute the BI, the blocking terms, for a real example. Okay? So that you understand what are we talking about here. Okay? So, assume you have 5 tasks, tau 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, okay, which may access in different ways these resources, R1, R2, and R3. Okay? So 5 tasks accessing 3 different resources. Okay? So, which data do I have? I also know that tau 1 will access only R2, and the critical section will be for 20 time units. Okay? So the critical section accessing R2 will be 20 units long. Okay? Tau 2 instead may access R1 for 5 units and R3 for 10 units. Okay? And so on. This one only R3 for 5 time units, and this one only R1 and R2 for 10 and 3 time units respectively. Okay? I'm interested in computing the V terms that I need to plug in the formula that I showed you before. Okay? So I want to compute the V to put here. Okay? Either on this test for EDF or this test for rate monotonic. Okay? Well, this is the same for fixed priority in general. It doesn't need to be, oh yes, it needs to be rate monotonic for the formula on the right, yes. Okay, so try to compute it for priority inheritance and for priority ceiling. Of course, the blocking term may vary, right? Because with priority inheritance, it can be repeated blockings. For priority ceiling, it's just one blocking term, okay? So what are these arrows? These arrows represent the notion of ceiling for priority inheritance. So this is the highest, this is the highest, this is the highest. And the notion of push-through blocking that I may experience in priority inheritance. So this guy and this guy, they do not access the resource. Nevertheless, they can be blocked for 10 time units. Okay? Like this guy, or this guy, does not access R2, but it may be blocked due to R2 for 3 time units. Okay? And here, all of them access the resource. Okay? While it can never happen that the 1 is blocked on R3. Okay? It cannot happen that the 1 is blocked on R3. Okay? Because there is no higher priority task that may push through block it. Okay? Well, let's check it together. So, let's start from tau 1. So this is kind of a line that intersects only this arrow for tau 1. Okay? How can tau 1 be blocked? Tau 1 can be blocked 4 times or on one resource. Which one is minimum? This one is minimum. Okay? R2. So I can be blocked at most once on R2. Okay? For how long? For the larger between 5 and 3. Right? I can be blocked only once on R2. What is the worst case blocking? Where? 3 or 5? Well, 5 is the worst case, right? The largest blocking I can experience with PIP for task 1 is 5. Is it a direct blocking or a push-through blocking? Direct blocking. Okay? It's a direct blocking. Let's go on. This is trivial. So I can be blocked only on this resource with priority ceiling, and again, the largest among the two is 5, also with priority ceiling. Okay? Nothing difficult in this case. Let's go on to the second one. Okay? Tau 2. On which resources can tau 2 be blocked? 1, 3, and 2, right? 1 and 3 directly. 2 with push through. Okay? For how long can tau 2 be blocked on R1? For how long can tau2 be blocked when access is R1? 10. Okay? For how long can tau2 be blocked when access in R2?
Perché viene bloccato?
Come?
Ma perché deve essere bloccato su R2?
Push through blocking.
Perché c'è quello sopra.
Esatto.
Ok.
Okay? For how long? 20, 5 or 3? What is the worst case? Eh? 20, is it a blocking when a higher priority task executes on my behalf? No. Okay? 5, 5. Okay? This is the worst case blocking for tau2 in this case. What is the worst case blocking here? 5. If you sum up, 10 plus 5 plus 5 sums up to 20. Okay? This 20 is not this 20, Do not assume that this is this, okay? This is 10 plus 5 plus one of these 5 here, okay? I can be blocked at most once for each lower priority and at most once for each shared resource, okay? You could also do a more detailed analysis here, meaning that, as I told you, I can be blocked at most once for each task and once for each resource. So here I take the 10 of this guy, okay, then I cannot assume anything else by him. Here I take a 5 here, and then I can take a 5 here, okay? So you can cross-interpolate the things. I'm telling you that if I use this 10, I cannot use the 3, because I can be blocked at most once by each task and at most once by each shared resource. Okay? If I take this 10, it means that I'm exploiting the fact that I can be blocked by this guy, so I will not be possibly blocked again by this guy. Okay?
Cioè quindi mi blocco su tau 5 con 10,
Esatto.
in tau 3 con 5 e in tau 4 con 5.
Esatto. Non mi posso bloccare sia qua che qua, ok?
Perché comunque dopo c'ho la precedenza, l'altro
Esatto.
mi può dar fastidio.
Esattamente. With priority ceiling, instead, with priority ceiling, I'm here, I told you, I can be blocked only once. What is the worst case? So on this resource, or this resource, the worst case is this, okay? The worst case blocking is 10. It's smaller than before, okay? Let's continue. You guys tell me now. What do I put here? Think about it. Someone says 15. Someone else says something different.
Col 3 no. O no?
15 is correct. Why is that? So tau 3, right, can be blocked. Direct blocking, push-through blocking, okay? So what is the worst case? So I can be blocked by 2 tasks or by 3 resources, okay? The worst case selection I can make of 2 different tasks on 3 different resources is taking the 10, and then I erase, and taking the 5, okay? If I had taken the 3 here, it would have resulted in 8, which is smaller, okay? And that's it, okay? Nothing difficult, okay? I cannot be blocked both by 10 and 3, okay? I cannot put 18 here, because I can block on tau 5, on R1, but not on R2. If I block on R2, I cannot block as well on R1, okay? For the behavior I told you about the priority inheritance, okay? We saw it in the slides, right? I can block only once, okay, for each resource and only once for each low priority tasks, okay? I cannot block twice. I could block on both if R2 was nested in R1, so there was a send wait R1, send wait R2, release R2, release R1. In that case, yes, but here for us are outermost resources, okay? This is a send wait R1, release R1, send wait R2, release R2, okay? I cannot block twice, okay? If I was blocked on this, sooner or later, as this was released, then this guy cannot execute again to lock it again. Okay, single core setting. In multi-core it can happen. Okay. Ceiling 10. Okay. Tau 4, simpler. Can I block on R3? No, right? I can block on this and this, which is the worst case, 10, which is the same as priority ceiling, okay? Tau 5, can it block? Never, right? Sorry. Tau 5 cannot block because it doesn't have anything lower priority, okay? Very simple. Okay? All right. So, just summarizing a little bit, priority inheritance allows us to solve some problem, but it still is prone to chain blocking, okay, and potentially deadlocks. The blocking factor is the sum of the worst case length of the critical sections plus, of course, the protocol overhead. So if there is some context switch involved, I need to take into account that. When I have nested critical section, I'm prone to deadlock. Okay, so priority inheritance is not robust enough to avoid deadlocks or unbounded blocking condition in case I have nested critical section. Again, nested critical section is when you have a critical section inside another critical section. Okay, one section accesses in semaphore A, which is contained in another section accessing in semaphore B. Okay. Despite you don't explicitly have code nested critical section, it may happen because you use some blocking primitives inside a critical section. So I told you, either you do like semaphore A wait, semaphore B wait, and this is a nested critical section. Or you can have a mutex lock, and then you have an open or a malloc, or you have like an operating system call, which can be potentially blocking. This is also a nested critical section, okay? Because the blocking primitives, okay, may imply some kind of effect that is related to the deadlock set. In italiano, anche se voi non fate esplicitamente delle critical section innestate, sezioni critiche innestate, dicendo semaphore A lock, semaphore B lock, semaphore B release, semaphore A release, potete avere una sezione critica semplice che all'interno chiama una primitiva di sistema operativo, no? Una malloc, no? Però non ha abbastanza memoria a disposizione. Tutte queste robe sono bloccanti, quindi voi vi sareste bloccati avendo ancora a vostra disposizione un lock. Ok? Ricordate, quando facciamo gli esami, dicevamo cerchiamo di evitare di sospenderci avendo in mano delle chiavi, no? Avendo in mano un lock. Cerchiamo di evitarlo. Ebbene, a volte avviene anche se non lo fate esplicitamente queste nested critical section, ok? Può avvenire se voi chiamate una primitiva di sistema all'interno di una sezione critica. Ok? Vabbè, questo è un testo di approfondimento sul priority inversion, interessante, se lo volete cercare in rete. Priority inheritance also imposes some overhead. You need to have operating system support to handle these priority inheritance protocols. Okay? So the operating system needs to perform some operations, suspending a task, reboosting its priority, lowering the priority when this is over. Okay, so it implies handling complex data structures, okay, or storing the set of priorities inherited by each task. You need to know which task is inheriting which priority by which other task. Okay, so this is also something that implies some OS overhead. Okay, if you're using a dynamic priority system like EDF, then these are priorities that dynamically change. Okay, So this again implies some more support at the OS level. Okay? I'm not a big fan of priority inheritance. I prefer priority ceiling or this guy, which is even simpler. This is called stack resource policy. Stack resource policy. This is essentially the same as the highest locker priority. Okay, just it goes under a different name because it was proposed for EDF instead that of fixed priority, but it's essentially the same. Stack resource policy. Let's see what it does. I will just start it and finish it on the next class. So when is the next class? Tomorrow. Tomorrow I will not, domani non ci sono, viene Cavicchioli e poi ci sono venerdì, giusto? Sì. Next class will be Friday. Non c'è lezione? Non c'è lezione questa settimana il venerdì?
No.
Come mai?
Pausa.
Ah, c'è il ponte?
Parziali.
Com'è?
C'è la pausa dei parziali.
Ah, c'è la pausa ai parziali. Ah, lo sapevo. Ah, che palle. Quando finisce la pausa?
Martedì compreso.
Martedì compreso.
Ma quindi non ho lezione neanche lunedì prossimo? E neanche martedì? Ah, buono sapersi. Ma voi dovete fare dei parziali? Sì.
No, dipende dagli esami che uno sceglie.
Ok, però qualcuno di voi può dover fare dei parziali? Sì, ok, allora niente, non faccio lezione, sono 9. Ah, va bene.
6, poi c'è chi c'è il 7, si tratta di giornate diverse.
Ok, però domani ci siete, giusto?
Sì.
Domani, ok, quindi salto venerdì, lunedì e martedì. Ah, buono sapere, non lo sapevo, ok. Vabbè, allora andiamo avanti ancora 2 minuti di più, dai, abbiate pazienza. Ok, so, I was telling you, priority inheritance, okay, nice, but it's not the solution of all problems. Priority ceiling, yes, it is nicer, but still it has this priority inheritance below, okay? Priority ceiling still has this priority inheritance behavior, right? We said that priority is inherited only if and when I'm blocked, okay? Only if and when I'm blocked. I'm a bigger fan of a different protocol, which is called SRP, Stack Resource Policy, which I'm telling you is essentially the same concept of highest locker priority, only this guy works also with EDF, okay? So why highest locker priority doesn't work with EDF? Because with EDF, we don't have the notion of a static priority to assign what is the highest locker priority. Con EDF non sappiamo dire cosa vuol dire la highest locker priority with EDF, quando con EDF le priorità cambiano nel tempo, sono dinamiche, ok? Stack Resource Policy è un modo per proporre questo concetto di highest locker priority anche in un ambiente a priorità dinamiche come lo è EDF. Let's see together how does it work. So, a task is allowed executing when there are enough free resources. It's a general notion. How do we implement that? So, we have a normal execution and we have critical sections, okay? So here, totally starts, normal execution, lock request, preemption not granted. This is essentially the very difference with the priority inheritance and priority ceiling protocol. With priority inheritance and priority ceiling, at this preemption request, this guy would have seized the processor to this guy, okay? Here instead, we do not allow this guy to preempt, okay? Despite its deadline is earlier than mine, we do not allow him to preempt. It's essentially the same thing that happened with the highest locker priority in a fixed priority setting, where when locking this resource, the priority is artificially raised at the locking moment. Priority is not raised when the blocking is in place. Priority is raised as soon as I perform the lock. This is the difference with highest locker priority and SRP with priority inheritance and priority ceiling. Okay? With PIP and PCP, the priority is raised when the blocking is effectively in place. Here, the priority is raised as soon as I execute the lock. Okay? Earlier than that. Okay? Earlier than the other case. Right? So, here, priority is raised at this preemption request. This means that this is a preemption request. I can keep executing. I release the resource. And only then I lower back my priority. Okay? Where do I raise my priority? I raise my priority to the ceiling of this locked resource. I raise my priority at the locking moment. I raise my priority to the ceiling of this shared resource. Okay? The ceiling of the resource, since the resource is accessed by turn 1, the ceiling is here, so this preemption is postponed until I exit my critical section, and only then this guy can execute, and only then this guy can execute, and only then I can finish my execution. Okay? That was proposed by Ted Baker in the 90s. Every task has a priority PI and a preemption level pi. Okay? Well, under EDF and under rate monotonic, the preemption level is given by the inverse of the period. Again, I have all tasks have a priority, which for rate monotonic is what you know, while with EDF is the absolute deadline, as you know, but each task also has a preemption level, okay? A static preemption level, which is the inverse of the task period, both for rate monotonic and for EDF, okay? And for EDF. Well, we also have the concept of a static ceiling, okay? Which is essentially the same as the priority ceiling we had before. With the priority ceiling protocol, the ceiling was the highest priority among tasks that may need given resource. Also here, the ceiling is the highest preemption level among tasks that may need that resource. Okay? Modulo preemption level instead of priority, this is the same ceiling we had in the priority ceiling protocol. Okay? Again, the ceiling of a resource, if I have 5 resources, each one of these resources have a ceiling, okay? And that ceiling is given by the highest preemption level, as defined before, of all tasks that may potentially access that shared resource, okay? And then we have a dynamic system ceiling. A dynamic system ceiling saying this is the maximum ceiling among the resources that are currently locked. Okay? So the dynamic ceiling, again, is the maximum ceiling among the resources that are currently locked. If no resource is locked, the dynamic ceiling is 0. If I lock one, then it goes to the ceiling of that resource. If I lock another one with a lower ceiling, the ceiling keeps that. If I lock a third one with a higher ceiling, then the ceiling is the highest. Okay? If I unlock something, then it decreases. Okay? Is the ceiling, okay, is the ceiling of the resource that are currently locked. I take the highest of them. Okay? Then the SRP states that a higher priority job is allowed to start executing, not accessing a critical section, like in the PCT. In the priority ceiling, our rule was something like a task is allowed to enter a critical section. No, here I say a higher priority job is allowed to start executing. So I preemptively blocked my higher priority tasks. I ceiling blocked them. They are allowed to start. They are not even allowed to start. They are allowed to start only if their preemption level is greater than this ceiling. So tasks are never allowed to start unless they are the highest priority ones, okay, their deadline is earlier, and their preemption level is greater than the dynamic system ceiling. So their preemption level is higher than the preemption level of the currently locked shared resources, okay? of the ceiling of the currently locked shared resources. So they're allowed to start only if their preemption level is greater than the preemption level of any task that may access any of the locked resources. Let me repeat again, they are not allowed to start unless they have the earliest deadline 1 in the EDF case and their preemption level is greater than the preemption level of any task that may potentially require a resource that is currently locked. In italiano, i task sono bloccati prima di iniziare a eseguire. Possono iniziare a eseguire, ovviamente se sono quelli a priorità più alta, no? Perché con EDF se non fossi quello con la deadline prima di tutti non avrei neanche la preemption request. Ma non basta essere quello a priorità più alta, quello con la deadline prima di tutte. Per iniziare a eseguire devo avere anche il mio preemption level più alto del Dynamic System Ceiling. Cosa vuol dire averlo più alto del Dynamic System Ceiling? Vuol dire che il mio preemption level è più alto del preemption level di qualsiasi task tra quelli che potenzialmente potrebbero bloccarsi su una delle risorse che sono correntemente bloccate. Ok? Quindi io posso iniziare solo se sono più importante di quelli che si possono bloccare. Se sono meno importante o ugualmente importante non inizio neanche, perché correrei il rischio di bloccarmi. Chiaro? Ha un po' riportato il discorso della highest locker priority anche verso ambienti dinamici come EDF. Ok? Vedremo che è molto funzionale questo, perché il bloccaggio è lo stesso, identico del priority ceiling. The blocking term here is exactly the same as in the priority ceiling protocol. Modulo preemption level instead of priority. Okay? So it's very, very favorable. Okay? It's a very simple, once you are used to it, it's a very simple protocol. Priority ceiling are basically the highest preemption level among tasks that may potentially access a resource. The more resources are blocked, the highest is the ceiling. The less resources blocked, the lower is the ceiling. Okay? I can start only if my preemption level is above this dynamic ceiling. Okay? So nice properties. Once I start my execution, once I'm allowed to start, once a task is allowed to start the first instruction, it will never block. That's a very convenient feature. A task either blocks before starting or it will never block again. Okay? This is a very nice condition, right? We don't have to deal with the runtime blocking. Okay? When a task starts, it will never be suspended again. Ok? Quando un task o è bloccato prima che inizi, cioè lui arriva e non parte, ceiling blocking, oppure quando inizia non verrà mai più bloccato. È molto conveniente, no? Avere un task che non si blocca una volta che iniziamo. Ok? It can only be preempted by higher priority tasks. Quindi non sarà mai bloccato da task a più bassa priorità, no? Può essere preemptato da task a più alta priorità, ma quello non è un vero problema, no? Il problema è quando dobbiamo gestire tutte queste cose di task bloccati, no? Il bloccaggio dinamico e tutte queste cose qua. Deadlocks are prevented. So like in the priority ceiling protocol, also this guy here allows solving your problem of a bad programmer. Okay? If you're a bad programmer, this helps you. Okay? Because thread never block. So that suspension when you hold something problem never arises here. Because once you start, you never block. So you can never block once you hold a mutex, for instance. Okay? Because you never block. Okay? Preemptions are reduced. Okay? So in the priority ceiling protocol, despite you could block only once, you could have blocked at runtime, okay? You could suspend, which is something that leads to a further preemption, okay? In this case, preemptions are reduced, okay? Once you start, you will not be blocked, okay? And also, since you wait before executing, you're sure that once you execute, all your resources will be available, okay? You have a lesser number of preemptions. The blocking term is again the same one in the priority ceiling. Well, this is not exactly true. This is the maximum length of the critical section of lowest priority tasks, either with direct blocking or push-through blocking, okay? If you have low priority tasks which do not share any resource with a higher priority task, then you don't need to count them, okay? So this should be the same as in the priority ceiling, ok? In italiano non è esattamente il bloccaggio peggiore quello della sezione critica massima tra i task a bassa priorità, ok? Devono essere sezioni critiche che potenzialmente sono condivise con te, direct blocking, o con task a più alta priorità, ok? Push through o ceiling blocking, ok? And then this is exactly the test that we saw before for priority ceiling and priority inheritance, okay? This is exactly the same. This is for EDF, because I have a 1 here, okay? And this is the blocking term that is exactly the same as the priority ceiling, okay? Nothing more to discover here, okay? Exactly the same test as before, exactly the same blocking term of the priority ceiling, okay?
Perché ci hai?
È qua dentro. Prima era I-1 e adesso qua dentro, ok? Any other question? So again, remember to repeat this test for each single task, okay? This has to be repeated for all eyes from 1 to n, okay? You need to repeat this for all eyes 1 to n, okay? Each task has a different blocking term.
Non ho capito il BI, perché hai detto che non va bene dire che non è la più lunga sezione critica?
Ok, non è esattamente la massima sezione critica tra i task a più bassa priorità, perché se tu fammi pensare un attimo, se tu hai un task che condivide, cioè un task a bassa priorità che hai 3 task a bassa priorità che condividono tra loro le risorse, e tu sei un task ad alta priorità e non c'è nessuno sopra di te che condivide le risorse, tu non verrai mai bloccato comunque.
È vero, sì,
Ok.
rivado, parto. No, però no, posso anche non fare.
No, non posso partire, cioè, posso sempre partire perché il ceiling di ognuna di quelle risorse è sicuramente più basso di me.
Sì.
Ok? Quindi serve, detto meglio, il ceiling delle risorse deve essere sopra o uguale o sopra me. Ok? Se io per bloccarmi il ceiling di quelle risorse deve essere uguale o sopra me. E ovviamente deve poter essere acceduto da task a bassa priorità. Quindi è come il priority ceiling, ok? Fammelo modificare online, se no vi confondo, no? È lo stesso di prima, no? Questo maximum length of the critical sections of low priority task accessing resources shared with higher priority ones, higher or equal. Ok? Questa dovrebbe essere la definizione corretta. Quindi non è sufficiente che il task abbia bassa priorità e acceda a qualche risorsa, no? Per bloccarmi bisogna che il ceiling mi coinvolga in qualche modo, no? Bisogna che questa risorsa sia condivisa o con me o con qualcuno a più alta priorità di me. Ok? È esattamente lo stesso in priority ceiling, ok? Ma esattamente lo stesso schema dovete fare per calcolare. Ok. Togliamo una riga qua da qualche parte.
Se no diminuisci il fondo.
Ok. Oh, sono le 4 passate, niente. Ok ragazzi, niente, questo è quasi finito. C'è giusto un'ultima cosa che perché si chiama Stack Resource Policy, perché questa cosa qua permette di condividere lo stack, cioè il fatto che io non vengo mai bloccato una volta che ho iniziato a eseguire, lo vedremo la prossima volta, mi permette di condividere lo stack, cioè fare in modo che non devo mai interlacciare lo stack con altri task che mi possono preemptare, ok? È giusto l'ultima cosa che vedremo la prossima volta, va bene? Ok, ci vediamo, quindi
Lunedì.
Domani c'è Cavicchioli, con me abbiamo detto
Venerdì.
venerdì prossimo, quello dopo, ok?